Daf Yud Ches Amud Beis, the first line at the top of the Yomid.
We happen to mention the rocket plant, so the Gemara now discusses something else about the rocket plant. It says that one of the Bnei Nevi'im, in the time of Elisha, the Bnei Talmidim of Elisha went to gather iris in the field. There was a hunger, he went to gather iris in the field. And it happened to be that they made a soup and it was poisonous, and Elisha, with the nes, he remedied the situation. So it says they went to gather iris, to gather iris. So what are iris? What is iris? A gargir. This is gargir, this is the rocket herb. Why was it called iris? Iris S-A-9. Iris, light, it lights up the eyes. It's beneficial for the eyes. If someone finds the rocket plant, if he's able to eat it, he should eat it. If not, if he can't eat it, he pass it over his eyes, and then it'll have a beneficial effect. Where do we say that it has a therapeutic effect? That's when it's very potent. That's when it grows on the boundary of a field. Nothing else is growing around it. So it is very potent and it'll have a therapeutic effect. A guest should not eat eggs because it might induce shechva zera, and it'll be he's a guest, and it'll be an embarrassment. It'll be a busha. And he should not sleep with his host's garment because he may be mitzi zera, and again, it will be a dvar of ganai of busha. Rav, when he traveled to Darshish, from time to time, he would often travel to Darshish, Machras. He would make an announcement. Man havya le'yoyma. Is there a woman here that is prepared to be his wife for the night? He didn't want to be without a wife. He might come, he didn't want to have any herhurim or anything of that nature, so he wanted to ensure he had a wife. So he announced who would be willing to be a wife for the night. Rav Nachman Kamikl Shachnat Machriz would similarly announce Man Havali who would be a wife for the night, meaning he would be married for that night, and then upon his return he would divorce them and go back to his home. How could they do this? How was this permitted? Vatanya Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov Aimer Lo Yisa Adam Isha B'Medina Zu V'Yelech Lo Yisa Isha B'Medina Acheres. A person should not marry in one area in one country and then marry somebody else in a different country, especially in those days it was more of a concern because there wasn't communication and that much travel between the countries, and the concern is that if he does, maybe the children from the two marriages will meet each other, and not knowing that they're brother and sister. If he marries a woman in one country, he might have children. Marries in another country, he'll have children. They won't know of each other's existence. They won't know that they're brother and sisters. And maybe they might marry each other. And it'll come out that your brother marries her sister. And it'll fill the whole world with mamzerim. And on that, it's what the pasuk says. It's a reference to the pasuk says, "Hamal arat zima," that the whole country is filled with zima. It's filled with snus. So how could they do this? Why weren't they concerned with that? Amri, the more answers, Rabbanan kol islu. Rabbanan were famous, and if they had children, that the children would be known as the children of their famous father. So meaning, and they would know of the existence of each other, so this would not be a concern legabe the Rabbanan.
But still Rava asks, how is this a solution? We learned if a woman was proposed to, someone proposed to her for marriage and she agreed, she has to sit 7 clean days. Meaning we're concerned that because of the emotions involved, she perhaps will become a nida. And she comes in nida, she's told me for 7 days. And even if she doesn't see any dam, but we're afraid that there was a tipas dam kechadol, there's a minute amount that she was not aware of, and therefore she has to wait 7 days and be toivel. So therefore, why is this a solution? He can't be with her in any event until after 7 days. So why is that a solution for this chashash of Hirhurim? Our answer, the Rabbanan do you have a they would inform the woman ahead of time, and they would send the shliach 1 week in advance, and therefore by the time they arrived, it was already after the week, and she was ready and be tahira at that time. So therefore they informed them, they sent the messenger ahead of time, and then by the time they arrived, already the week was over, and they'd be tahira. The Iboy Sema, alternatively, another teretz says, they didn't live with them, they only miachar with them, they only stayed with them in private, but they didn't have relations with them. Now, if you're going to ask, well, if they didn't live with them, what is accomplished? No, it's still accomplished because they knew that they could live with them if they needed to, then they could, so they knew that if they waited, etc., that they could live with this woman. Therefore, they did not have a strong hirhurim, and there was no hashash for hirhurim because they knew that there was a backup. If need be, then he has a wife, and he could be with her. So the way Tosfos explained Rashi is as follows. Tosfos is dealing with a problem that the Gemara Ksuva says that if a person was not ba'al his wife, then mi shapir seish l'nida v'loy ba'al hu yoshem bein ha'anoshim v'ishtei bein ha'anoshim. They can't even be together. They can't even have yichud. So if she was a nida, then they couldn't even have yichud together. Tosfos therefore explains the Rashi, meaning they told the women in advance that there would only be yichud. There would only be yichud, and they would not live together. And Mela, there was no chashash of nida. And Mela, she wasn't a nida, and therefore she wasn't a nida. Then they couldn't have yichud together. But if they weren't living together, what was accomplished? No, there was pas b'salei, that if need be, then he could have an option of then actually living together. Tosfos says another pshat he says is that this issue that the Gemara is talking about is only by a bocher. That's what it says. It's only by a bocher that was never married before, but it would not apply in these cases where they were married before. So the Mishnah, Masru Ziknei Beistin, Ziknei Kahuna, the Ziknei Beistin, who were up until this point, they were instructing the Kohen Gadol. Now they passed him over to the Ziknei Kahuna, to the Zikanim of the Kahuna, of the Kahanim, and they were going to now teach him the Avodah, as we'll see in a moment, specifically the Chafina, the Avodah with the Ketairas that the Kohen Gadol had to do, Lifnaim Lifnaim, the exact procedure how to do that Chafina, Malei Chafnav Ketairas, which is one of the most difficult Avodas in the Beis HaMikdash. So they handed over V'halu and Beis Haftinas, and they took him up to the Beis Haftinas. That was where the Ketairas was made, and the Haftinas family are the ones that were the experts in making the Ketairas, and they brought him up there to learn about how to do the procedure with the Ketairas. V'yishbu v'nifru v'holchem, and they were mashbiya. Then the way the Tiferes Yisrael learns it is the Ziknei Bezdin, before they departed, they were mashbiya the Kohen Gadol. They made him make a shvua. They made him make a shvua. The reasoning is that in the seder of the Ketairas, there's a machlokes between the Chachamim, how it is done. That Stukim learned it differently, and they said that the Ketairas is burnt outside and is brought into the Kodesh Kodashim while it's already burning. The Chachamim darshan that it should be burnt, the coals should be brought inside with the Ketairas and should be burnt inside the Kodesh Kodashim. So they made the Kohen Gadol make a shvua that he would follow the order that the Chachamim, the order of the Chachamim, that's the way he would do it. So the Yishbu of a Nifter V'Halchalim, they made him make a shvua, and then they left. And this is what the lashon of the shul was. Ishi Kohen Gadol, my master Kohen Gadol, Anu Shluchim Beisin. We are the Shluchim of Beisin, Va'ata Shluchenu Shliach Beisin. And you are our Shliach and the Shliach of Beisin. Mashbiim anu alecha b'misha shiken shmoi b'bayis hazeh. We are mashbiu with in the Rebbeinu Shalom. Shaloi tishana davar mikol ma shalmanuach, that you won't change anything from the way we instruct you to do it. So we are mashbiu that you will do the keteres according to the order of that we say of the chachamim. Hu perish b'oicha, he would turn aside and cry, because they were, meaning that he was being nechshad of being a tzeduki. V'heim parshim b'oichim, and they would also turn aside and cry. They would also cry because if they were choshed b'ksherim, then they would be subject to punishment. The Meforshim asked a question: how there must be a him if he was really a tzeduki? Then, according to his reasoning, then what the Chachamim would be asking him to do would be a violation of the halach of the Torah. It would be making a shua lavra al anisser. So why would that prevent him from doing it? If there must be a him to be over an isser, it doesn't have a kayach of a shua. Rabbi Akiva Eiger answers that nevertheless the avera of shuas was so chamor, it would be a deterrent in any event for the Kohen Gadol to make a shua, to violate the shua, even though technically, according to his reasoning, it's not considered a violation of the shua. But the punishment and the severity of a shua that's a shua sheker is so great, is so severe that he would be chayshish that for the shita of the chachamim, and would be chayshish for them, and not want to make the shua, not want to violate the shua that he's making, and therefore it still would serve as a deterrent. So then on Yom Kippur night, the Kohen Gadol was up the whole night. It was up the whole night so that he shouldn't have a riyas carry. So therefore, imoya chacham darsh. If the Kohen Gadol was a Talmid Chacham, he would darshan. V'im lav Talmid Chacham darshan lefanim. If not, other Talmid Chacham would darshan in front of him. Im haragel ekras kair. If he was somebody who knew how to lane, he would lane from the Torah. V'im lav karam lefanim. If not, then the others would read it for him. Upamak karam lefanim, and from what type of sukkim or what type of ksuvim did they read in front of him? So ma hakarim lefana be'Iyav Ezra divrei Yomim. It was from the ksuvim. It was from Iyav, Ezra, and divrei Yomim. Mashal explains that Iyav it would also be Makser and B'tshuva. So therefore they read in those things. Harben kavut loimer. He says Palmim harben karis lefana b'Daniel. He said many times he read in front of him from Sefer Daniel. So we learned in the Mishnah that he was brought up to the base of Tina. So why was he brought there? Tana, we learned the Brayso Lamda Chafina. That's where they taught him how to do the Chafina, the special way with the Chafina to come into the Kaddish Kedoshim and with the Keteris and the coals, and to be able to pour the Keteris into his hands, to the Chafina, and the coals, and to burn it on the coals, and to do it all together and without putting anything on the ground. So that was a very difficult avodah. That's what they taught him over there, and they learned later on more of the details of how this chafina, actually how it was done.